This video is going to be on Photoshop layer styles, and what you have in front of you is you've got a banner that I've created. I've got in my layer palette, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, and as a reminder, you can always toggle on the eyeballs on and off if you're having a hard time finding what lives on these layers. Also, another little just tip, if you go to this hamburger icon and then you go all the way down to panel options, you can always increase or decrease the size of your layer images. I always like it at the largest size possible. All right, so again, I've got an image of a dog. I've got a text layer here that says dog lovers, shop here. I've got a layer for this ellipse and then the 25% off. Now, layer styles just adds another depth to your image. So perhaps I want to put a layer style on this text, dog lovers. To do that, I need to find that layer, which is right here. And if I'm not certain, I can always toggle on and off the eyeball just to make sure that I'm on the right layer. And what I can do, in the empty area of this layer, I can double click and it's going to launch this window. Unfortunately, you can't change the size of this window, at least at this point in Photoshop. And I have all sorts of different layer styles that I can apply to this text. So one that's pretty popular is to do Bevel Emboss. And when you do that, you right away see an Bevel Emboss being applied. You can see the different settings on the right-hand side. Typically, all you're going to have to worry about is the ones that are on top here. I'm not quite sure. Let me set it back to reset to defaults. I probably in the past have messed with this color, and I was seeing something I had done in the past. So you can always reset those, and you can see that I can see what that bevel would look like. I could say okay if I was happy with it, or I could go up to these sliders and I can increase these different settings. You can see at the same time, you can see how it's going to be applied to Photoshop or the image. Change again the size of that. I could soften it if I wanted to. I could use from inner bevel to emboss and outer bevel. So it's all what you want to do. I'm just going to leave it here. Okay, again, you're not going to need to worry so much about the shading. If you don't want that style, you could just go ahead and cancel or click off the check here. Another popular one would be maybe add a stroke. Okay, again, I'm going to reset. I might have been messing with a default. I could add a stroke. Okay, I'm going to change the color to red just so you can see it. And it's really, really big. Okay, the position of my stroke is inside, but I could change it to outside, back to inside, or I could do center. Okay, again, I have the ability to make it thicker or thinner. Another thing that I could do, I'm going to decheck that, is I could do, I'm not going to go through all these, more so the more popular ones. Maybe I'll do an outer glow. Okay, I'm going to reset the default, and I'm going to change the color just so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to come down here and I'll do more of a gold. Select that color by clicking OK, and I can increase the spread, the size. You could, hopefully you can see, maybe a different color would have, let me change the color so you can see it a little bit better. Maybe I'll do a green. It's gonna look goofy, but you'll be able to see it better. Okay, increase the spread, decrease the spread, increase the size. Okay, so it adds a nice soft glow. You can change the blending mode if you're not happy with the blending mode. The default, I believe, is screen, but you can change it to multiply. I'm going to take it back to the default, which I think was screen. Okay, another popular one would be drop shadow. I'm going to get rid of the check here, add a drop shadow. Okay, I'm going to set it back to the default here, and right away you can see the default drop shadow being applied. I could change the color of the drop shadow. Okay, I'm actually happy with black, but you could change the color. I could change the opacity of it. I could change the distance it is away from the text, the spread, the size of that drop shadow, and at some point it's going to be way beyond the canvas size, so I'm going to leave that be. Maybe increase the opacity again. When you're happy with the layer style that you have selected, you can always say OK. What happens in your layer palette, it actually adds kind of a sub layer to your layer, and if you don't want to see it, you can always get rid of the eyeball. Here you might actually have multiple. You could hide all the effects or just the individual effects. And another way of doing a drop shadow would be, I'm going to go ahead and delete these effects. I'm going to come down here and hit my trash can. Okay. Oh, it got rid of everything. Let me select this and drag it to my trash. Let me try it that way. Okay, got rid of it that way. Another way would be go to the bottom of the layer palette, click on the FX, which stands for effects, and you're going to see the same little list here. I'm going to go back to drop shadow at the end here. Okay, and it just launches this window again. Okay, and if you're happy, again, you can say okay. Layer styles are a lot of fun in Photoshop, and it's just a matter of just trying them out and experimenting with the layer effect that might enhance your graphic. And it can be applied on anything, meaning if I wanted to do the circle here, I double click to launch this and apply a drop shadow here. Okay, could be anything that's within your canvas. I could do it to the dog, but it actually would cause some issues here because of that transition that I created from the background color to the image. Okay, layer style is a lot of fun.